Hi everyone, this is Denise with Liquid Color. I'm so sorry that I missed last week's video. I had a couple of art festivals over the last couple of weeks and I pulled out my shoulder and my rib and I was a little bit of a mess and had a hard time keeping up with work and trying to create YouTube content. So thanks for sticking around and coming back for this video. The topic of this video today is brought to us by one of our viewers, and she was asking after I did the color mixing video about neutralizing colors and if I could explain that a little bit better. So I figured that was a really good opportunity to go ahead and show you what it means to either, there's a lot of different terms you could use for it, either neutralize or lessen the intensity, kind of like a desaturation. So I actually have in my big binder of fun charts and everything, I do have a page on, let me take this out here so that there isn't a glare for you. I do have a page on some neutralizing colors, and how you neutralize a color is you take one of your colors, here I have some of the primary colors on this side, and you neutralize them with their opposites, which in our color mixing video we talked about the secondary colors being the opposites of the primary colors, and that if you mix, say, red and green together, you're going to get a neutral shade of either brown or gray depending on how dark the shade of green is. Likewise with blues, if you mix them with different shades of orange, they'll neutralize to get usually a range of grays, and then we've got yellows and purples that mix together to get kind of a brownish color. So on either side of these middle colors where we're trying to get as neutral as possible, we have some shades that have lessened intensities. So if you take, for instance, phthalo blue and add a little bit of burnt sienna to it, you're going to get a more mellow shade of blue here. It's not going to be quite the intensity of this really, really very bright phthalo blue color. It's going to be a little bit more neutral. And likewise, if we go all the way to the other extreme, let's say on this purple color, we've got a really, really deep purple, and if we add a little bit of yellow, we're going to get a nice muted brownish purple color. So I'm going to show you a little bit of how to mix these, and then I'm also going to show you how to use them in application. So stay tuned. I'm going to get my camera set up for that, and we'll be right back. Alright, so in this little sample, we're going to go ahead and do phthalo blue and quinacridone burnt orange. It's the closest color to an orange that I have in my palette. We're probably going to end up needing more of the orange than the blue, just because blue is a much stronger, the phthalo blue has a much stronger tinting strength than my burnt orange will. I'm going to go ahead and start off with just pure phthalo blue. And then what I'm going to do for this exercise is I'm just going to go ahead and take a brush full of the burnt orange and mix it into my little puddle of phthalo blue here. And you'll see I'm going to get a really beautiful shade of almost like a phthalo turquoise. And I'm just going to go ahead and brushful by brushful add this in to my blue until I see the most neutral shade that I think I can get between these two that doesn't look quite blue or quite orange. Now I'm entering a range of greens here. And each time I'm just rinsing off my brush and adding back in more of that burnt orange brushful by brushful. And now I can see I'm already starting to get back into the orange side of things when I didn't really find a neutral to begin with. I suspect that this might be my neutral shade, that it's the most brown I'm going to get between the two. Even though it looks slightly more orange to me, that's okay. We don't need perfect. We're not looking for perfect examples here. We just want to get the best options we can. This burnt orange is a beautiful color, but it is more on the brown side of things. So I feel like our neutral tone was a little closer to the orange side than to the blue side because of that reason. One more here I think is going to take us all the way to that burnt orange color. So if we want to do this example with two other colors, I can go ahead and wipe off my tray. And two colors that I know are going to neutralize well, it's a very popular color combination, is ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. So let me go ahead and get some ultramarine blue here. Now ultramarine blue isn't as strong as the phthalo blue, so it won't take quite as much of it to neutralize my burnt sienna. Now this combination actually makes such a good gray, such a consistent gray, that I actually mixed these two pigments out of the tube and put them into one of my wells on my palette. Let me show you here. This color here is not attached to my palette, but it is ultramarine and burnt sienna, and it's a beautiful gray that I'm going to show you when we swatch out our colors here. So I'm going to get a nice clean brush. We're going to start with our ultramarine, and let's quickly just add our burnt sienna to it. You can already see it becoming a nice blue-gray color. We might not do as many iterations of this one as we did of the one above. If you really want to push your colors to the max to see all the different colors you can get, you can do smaller increments, like even smaller than a brush load, half a brush load. And of course, brush load is going to mean different things depending on how much pigment your brush holds. The brush I'm using today is a silver black velvet size 6 round. We're almost there. I might do one more blend before just the straight burnt sienna. There we go. And you can see right in between here we have a nice neutral, rich, warm gray. Both of these are warm colors. This is a warmer blue than our phthalo blue, so they're going to equalize nicely there. Alright, so how do we actually use this in theory? Or how do we use this in application versus just theory? I'm going to go ahead and just sketch out a pear here for you. And pears, I find, are a nice good example because most greens that you have on your palette are going to be way too intense for the nice even gray color that most pears are. So if I have this pear on my page and I have these different options, my green gold is probably the closest option that I have, but it's still very, very bright, very, very vibrant. So I don't want to use that color in its full strength when I'm doing a pear because it's not going to look natural. So instead of using that, I can go ahead and use some green gold, but add its opposite, which would be red. And I have a Winsor red here, a Pyrrole red, that I'm just going to add a little touch to. I'm not going to add a lot of red, but you can already see it lessens the intensity of that color to almost a brown color. So if I think I went too far, I can add a little bit more green. And when I pull this color out, I'm going to get a nice goldeny pear color. Now if that's too yellow for you, because green gold is a very yellow gold, we can try this exercise again with our sap green. It's a nice rich green, but again it's too strong for a pear. So then if we add our green over here, and add a little bit of red to it, I'm going to go ahead and add carmine to this one. It's a bluish red, just to see the difference that we can get here. And we pull out this color with some clean water. We're going to get a nice, natural, brownish pear color. Let's see. There we go. So this color is what I would expect to find on a green pear. We also have bosque pears, which are brown, and other colors as well. So depending on what type of pear you're looking for, we can use these different color complements in different strengths all around our pear to use some nice color diversity. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill some water in here. I'm going to leave a spot for a highlight. And I'm going to start to mix up on my palette. I know you can't see it, but I'm going to mix up some of that sap green and just a hint of the carmine, just to take it down a notch, just so that it's not so vibrant. And then when I dilute it and put it into my pear, I have a nice mellow green that isn't going to be too overpowering for our eyes to look at. And then maybe, go ahead and put this around the edges. Maybe we do want some of that green gold in here, or just a stronger, start with a stronger version of our sap green and carmine for some shadows. And then when we get into the lighter areas, if you wanted to, you could add some of that green gold. I'm mixing the green gold into my sap green mixture and my red mixture. And one of the unique properties about green gold is that when you fade it out with the water, it actually turns from like a straight green color to having very gold undertones when you pull it out. It changes quite a bit. So I'm just going to keep adding some water here, blending out my colors, adding some shadows. I also like to use yellow ochre or raw sienna in pears. It's a much more mellow shade of yellow, so I can add that into my green gold mixture or my sap green mixture and put some highlights up here. It's also a very warm color, so it's slightly neutralizing. I mean, it's not red, but it's slightly neutralizing with the green. And just with those few colors, you can add in such a wide variety of greens into this pear, and they're all very natural. They don't overpower them too much. Okay. And we can just top it off with a little stem. And then we're good to go. Now, if we had done that with just the straight colors on my palette, let me show you a little bit more what that would look like. Do a little sketch up here. We have our dark color here. This is the sap green. Oops, I put my hand in it. Sorry. We'd have our sap green, which is a very beautiful green. It's just a little too vibrant for a pear. Put our green gold for the highlight. This might make a better combination for like a Granny Smith apple. Would be maybe a good use of these colors straight out of the tube. So it's just a different color profile, different color combination. I also want to show you kind of the more unlikely pairings. So with our yellow, say we want to do a lemon, would be really basic color to do. I have two shades of yellow in my palette. I have a Hansa Yellow Light, which would be similar to a lemon yellow, and I also have a very rich Hansa Yellow Deep, which would not be the color we want for our lemon. But even so, even if we call this lighter shade lemon yellow, if we do a lemon with it, it's very, very, very harsh. Very bright, a little hard to look at. So if we added some purple, which I know you wouldn't expect here, we can actually get a much more mellow vibe out of that color. So on my palette, I'm going to mix this Mijello light with just a tiny bit, my palette's a little bit dirty, a tiny bit of dioxazine purple. And it's going to mellow out that color quite a bit. So we could go ahead and do our shadows with this darker purple. And then maybe add in some more of our more pure color for the highlights and the blending tones in between. And it's going to have a lot more depth than our other color will. Just using it straight out of the tube, you'll get a larger range of colors. Alright, so I know that was a really quick video, but hopefully it helped expand the concept of neutralizing colors to make more natural tones in your paintings. I really enjoy doing these types of videos for you. I think our next one around is going to be a time-lapse video, so if you have any subjects that you'd like to see in a time-lapse video, that would be great. And I will be traveling out of the country for a little bit in October. I'll try and get some content recorded before I go. And when I get back, hopefully towards the end of October or in November, I can actually do a full tutorial for you, either on an animal or something simple like fruit. So let me know what you'd like to see, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Have a good one.